Okay, y'all ready for this? We're going to find out. We're going to talk about the big storm coming out of the plains through the Midwest, Ohio Valley to the East Coast. It's going to be a lot of snow, it's going to be a lot of ice, and even some severe weather. And then if you stay till the end, I have the latest on the last 2 weeks of January, kind of an early look on what that looks like. But let's start here with our weather spotlight. Weather storm severity index is high around Kansas City, starting in Kansas through Kansas City. Also down there, Louisville, Kentucky, southern Indiana, and even moderate impacts all across the Midwest and Ohio Valley. And, you throw in the minor impacts that takes you through the East Coast, Washington, D.C. even. With some moderate impacts. And the most likely weather type, you see the snow, southern Nebraska, Kansas, northern Missouri, through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio to the East Coast. And just south of that, a stripe of heavy freezing rain, which could really be a bummer. Significant freezing rains just does so much tree damage, power outages, those types of things that we're looking forward to in the next couple of days. So just if you're in those areas, be as prepared as you can. Here we go. We're going to start with the 48-hour precipitation. And we're looking at, again, the heavy snow, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and there's going to be some ice in there and also some heavy rain. So heavy rain, Memphis through Mississippi. Could see 1.5 inches of rain. And then, of course, the West Coast, too. Another storm moving in. Heavy rain along the Oregon, Washington, Northern California coasts with snow inland. So where will this be snow? Well, heavy snow off the eastern Great Lakes. Heavy snow, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois. Again, into northern Kentucky, southern Ohio, but lesser amounts because there's going to be some freezing rain and sleet mixed in with that. And we even see some snow this morning happening in South Dakota, and that'll be moving into parts of Nebraska, and hopefully here in western Iowa, we have a chance of maybe 1 inch of snow where I live. So I'm hoping for more. It's possible, but it's not looking great. All right, ice-wise, this is the real dangerous stuff. A stripe of heavy ice from Kansas, even northern Oklahoma, through Missouri, really bad. Southern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, much of Kentucky into West Virginia, and a little bit of northern Tennessee into Virginia. So when you're talking amounts, anything over 1/4 inch is just can be, I don't want to use the word devastating, but maybe we're seeing 1/2 inch amounts on this forecast for parts of Missouri, for example. That's just going to be a lot of tree damage and power outages and things like that. So this is the NAM, the North American model, and this takes it out through total snowfall through Tuesday to include the East Coast. So this has lesser amounts of snow for northern Missouri, but still quite a bit. But Kansas is a bullseye here, over 1 foot to 1.5 feet. And then also for southern Ohio, parts of Indiana, 1 foot plus. So near Cincinnati to near Columbus. And then southern Pennsylvania too, and then into southern half of New Jersey with that stripe of heavy snow in the Midwest. All right, back to today. So this morning, this is your 24-hour temperature change, 5 o'clock. So this is the 24-hour temperature change, 5 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It is much cooler, I would say. Parts of Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, even down near Memphis. But, cooler, pretty much the northern plains, the Midwest, through the Great Lakes, and down to the southeast. A little warmer, Texas, Oklahoma, and cooler on the West Coast. And those current temperatures look like this. So starting out in the 40s, it looks like, for Phoenix and Tucson, where they had record highs yesterday in the 80s. Crazy. It is single digits here. Actually, it's 10 degrees where I am. And it was 10 degrees at this time yesterday where I am. We got down to like 7 or 8 yesterday morning. We may do that again this morning here. So it's cold, upper Midwest, northern plains, even into the plains, 20s down into Kansas, where all of this is fixing to start. And those 20s and 30s get all the way down into the south as well. So let's take a look at the hazards. You kind of have an idea of what we're looking at. Because behind this system, that cold air is going to pour southward. So we have freeze watches still in effect for Florida and to southern Georgia. It's a lot of wind in New Mexico, kind of, and dry enough for red flag warnings here into far west Texas. So be careful, if you're like starting fires, don't do that. All right, wind issues, Texas Panhandle into Oklahoma as well. And then the west coast, we have some snow up there in the Cascades of Oregon and Washington, the Siskiyous of Northern California. Snow in Montana. My dad texted me yesterday. They're getting snow where he lives north of Missoula. And so winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings up for much of Montana. Snowing right now in South Dakota with winter weather advisories moving into Nebraska. And then we get into our main event. So that is winter storm warnings from Kansas, southern Nebraska, right along the Iowa border, but most of Missouri into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and then winter storm watches further east because that storm won't get there till like Monday. And then we see our ice storm warning down there for parts of southern Missouri into southern Illinois, Indiana, and into Kentucky. Just a big mess. Surface for today, big mess. Starting in Kansas today, where later today we'll start to see that storm developing and maybe starting out as some freezing drizzle. But again, the biggest snowfall amounts, even though it's showing today, really looking into late today into tomorrow. Heavy snow possible for Montana too, and there you see your snow across the northern plains into the Midwest, and thunderstorms possible in eastern half of Texas into as far east as Alabama, and there's your critical fire danger for New Mexico. All right, for tomorrow, this is when things really get going. Kansas, Missouri, into Illinois, maybe parts of southern Iowa, certainly southern Nebraska, extreme southeastern Nebraska. So that's where your heavy snow should be. And we're also going to see that ice starting in Kansas into Missouri and then moving eastward as we go through the day tomorrow. Also a line of severe thunderstorms possible from near Memphis all the way through Arkansas, East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And that line of storms could have damaging winds, some large hail, and even some isolated tornadoes. Meanwhile, don't forget the lake effect snow coming off of Lake Ontario in upstate New York, and even lake effect snows in Michigan as well, just lighter amounts. And then the Pacific Northwest with rain and snow. And then Monday, our storm moves further east, so we're talking more still lingering into Kentucky, getting into West Virginia, with that freezing rain, heavy snow, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, into Maryland, Washington, D.C., southern parts of New Jersey as well. So, and then that cold air you see all the way through Texas spilling in behind the system. All right, we're going to go to the North American model today. One thing is we have this 1 kilometer reflectivity, so it's higher resolution, and it goes hour by hour. So does it? Maybe it's 3 hours. We're starting at 6 o'clock this morning. Yeah, it's 3 hours. So 6 o'clock this morning, we're seeing that snow now, light snow, into South Dakota, and we're starting to see a little bit of ice already in Kansas, light snow here too. And then the main low is forming back into the Rockies, which will be moving eastward as we go through the day. So this is at 9 o'clock this morning. Then we get into, is that right? Let me double check my timestamps because I started too far ahead. So this is 6 o'clock this morning. So there's light snow in South Dakota. We got a little preview of what's coming. All right, some heavier snow back here, Salt Lake City, eastern Idaho, and parts of Montana, as I was saying. So here's that. This has been showing this stripe of snow on the models for days, and it's here. It really is on the radar right now. So snowing in South Dakota, and that will continue through the day. This is getting into this afternoon where we start to see the ice coming down parts of Kansas, Missouri, lighter snow as we get into southern and southeastern Nebraska, the main low back here in the Rockies, which will be moving eastward as we get into tonight. This is 6 o'clock tonight, so maybe some snow where I am starting. And then ice and, increasing here. We'll go a little bit faster so I don't bore you to death. Snow moving into parts of Iowa. Heavy snow, though, for Missouri. And then as that low gets going, this brings us early morning Sunday. So 3 a.m. snowing where I am. All of Nebraska, ice and snow in Missouri. And we're starting to see some rain bust out here too, but it's freezing rain in southern Missouri as we get into 6 o'clock, heading to church early to help set things up. It'll be snowing. I'm excited about that, but it's going to be really light, it looks like. We'll see. And then as we go through the morning, this is 9 a.m., heavy snow. Kansas, heavy freezing rain. Southern Illinois, Missouri, moving into Kentucky as we get into this is noon central. This is at early afternoon central, just heavy freezing rain. Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky. Here's our line of storms that could be severe weather lining up from Tennessee, even parts of Kentucky, but Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, marching off to the east with the heavy snows moving into West Virginia, Pennsylvania. A little mixture of sleet and freezing rain. Kentucky into West Virginia, into Virginia. And then as it continues east, we got heavy snow from New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, southern Pennsylvania. A little bit light snow out here. We've kind of been ignoring that, but we're concentrating on this big storm. And then you see the cold air spilling in behind the system too. So that's going to chill things out, maybe setting the stage for some Texas snow. We're not going to go that far out just yet. We're keeping an eye on it, but it looks like there might be some snow maybe for Dallas coming in a week after this. But the heavy snow starting to exit the scene, but still coming down pretty hard. Delaware, New Jersey, Maryland, the Delmarva, and then that cold air spilling behind. So there we go. We showed our work. That's what's coming in the next 3 days. Meanwhile, looking out to 8 to 14 days, January 11 through 17, what is that? Warmer than average, perhaps, in the northern plains, upper Midwest? We'll see. Maybe a relief. But I think it'll be brief, but a relief from the cold if it happens. And then the coldest air down south and east. And then for precipitation across the center of the country, again, this is January 11th through the 17th. So Texas, you're included in this. And if you do see snow, right now early indications are around the 10th or 11th. Again, we'll update you as we get closer. And then we just got this issued yesterday, our 3 to 4 week temperature outlook. So this is January 18th to the end of the month. And if this comes true, below average from the northern plains into the central plains, the Midwest, across the Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic and southeast, and then above average persisting in the southwest and west. And then precipitation-wise, our best chance for above average precipitation the last 2 weeks of January, right there in the northern Rockies and Pacific Northwest generally, and then also from the eastern third of the country, getting back below average for New Mexico and Texas. All right, that is a look at our Midwest storm that will be moving eastward. So, yeah, you know what to do. Prepare best you can, and we'll keep you posted best we can. Really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, The Weather Mike. If I have time before church, I think I'm doing these so early now, I'll probably be able to update you tomorrow morning as well. And we'll see you then. Thanks.